With Lilo and Stitch, just give the audience what you can. Don't have your lackeys, don't have your remedial employees at the company try to resculpt this, to try to remake it. All you have to do, you guys are short bus kids with the helmets on in a padded room. All you have to do is take the original and don't write another word, don't add another line to it, don't change anything, just remake it as it is. They can't even do that. Renegade Online. Their stories matter, right? The reason that Snow White changed, the reason that The Little Mermaid changed, and the reason I think that this changed all goes together. And this was my gut reaction to this film when I saw the news about how they had changed the character. You still have a bunch of woke, modern, intersectional feminists running the Disney creative process. This is part of the Stories Matters group. This is what they've been doing at Disney for years, the Stories Matter group. Now, yes, we had stories. We had this on That Park Place, right? Back in February. And we talked about this back then. Disney's controversial Reimagine Tomorrow. That's the DEI Employees Struggle Group. That's the one that did the hostage video, political gun to the head for Bob Chapek. And the Stories Matter website was removed, redirecting to belonging initiatives at Disney DEI, right? So this is one of these classic current examples, Ron, and I know you know this. How many Fortune 500 companies have we seen discussed in one form or fashion in the last few months of, they're getting rid of their DEI department, but all the employees are still there and they've been remerged into human resources, right?
Much less government departments and committees and the like.
Yep, exactly. And the same thing's here at Disney. So the same intersectional.
And here's the problem:
feminist group. Yeah.
If you try that at Jaguar, where you're already hanging on by an economic thread, then you blow it, and the market works. But as we've said a million times on this program, Disney's ability to cross-subsidize its passion projects, with revenue from the parks and from merchandising, it distorts decision making, and they don't feel the pain of go broke because they can't go broke, and they lie to shareholders about where money's coming from. Like you said, pocket one to pocket two.
That's it. And the issue I have with this is that I just felt like when I read this and got confirmed by other folks that had seen the movie that, okay, it's just fitting the pattern. You have a bunch of angry intersectional woke feminist types that are at the Stories Matter group, and all of these live action remakes, instead of just being remade, get retouched, right?
But Valiant, and to be fair, I'm reading Brian's comments here, and he's hacking away at you.
Oh, yeah. We have people in the chat that always do that.
And this is go ahead. Sorry.
I myself, of course, have no inclination to see it at all, but acting like a mediator here. And we might be at a point where we're saying, because these are the people who always screw up, clearly they screwed up again, which doesn't give them the opportunity to ever redeem themselves. Maybe they have learned. Maybe they have possibly took a look at what happened in 2023 and 2024 and said, because what do I see from East Texas Maggie? Compared to Little Mermaid and Snow White, Lilo and Stitch is way better. No more crap erase swapping. So maybe we have to have an open mind.
No, I totally agree. And I mean,
I'm sure you do, because I don't think of you as someone with a chip on his shoulder. If it would be good, you'd say we're good.
And look, like I said, I'm still looking forward to seeing it. My thing is that, well, first of all, from a standpoint of race swapping, there was, I think, realistically little opportunity here to do that because you already had a movie that was based around Pacific Islanders as a culture and stuff like this. There was some, minor switching and swapping out of characters here and there, or the deletion of characters for one reason or another. I'm not going to nitpick on that. And again, I'm not trying to take away from the commercial success of this film. My point is that when I see even little things like that, I ask myself, okay, my initial reaction is, again, you're doing a remake. Why has anything changed? If you know that the original was so successful, and then in turn, because of that, you're going to make a live action remake because you want to recapitalize the massive success of the original. You want to give the audience what they expect, right? So give them something that's going to draw them in. I think the trailers for this movie did all that, and I've acknowledged that. My issue is that then why make any changes to any type of character development or arcs in the story itself? My issue is that when I see, because we have previous examples, when I see with these same people, these same pseudo quasi creatives that Disney have done to The Little Mermaid and to Snow White and to other properties in there, then I go, okay, this fits the pattern. Because if these reports about, well, we changed the dynamic here, and now the, Nani doesn't want to be saddled with raising Lilo one way or another, and she wants to go off and be a college kid, right? If that's what's being reported, then it makes sense to me, because not only do we not want to have women tied down by no man, but now, so these same kind of people don't want to be tied down by children.
You're about to lose
either.
Pro, just so you know, and I'm to the point where I can't keep listening to this, because this is not how the movie goes. She doesn't just give her up because she wants to go to college. She actually doesn't go to college because she has to take care of Lilo. She had a full scholarship. Okay.
My point, Tom, was just to say that this is what's being reported. This is what we're discussing, and I'm saying that my initial reaction to it, I said, okay, I can believe this because we have a documented history of Disney doing this based on how they've reacted in the past. Now, whether or not it's valid, that's the next conversation, right? But I'm just saying, is this what we look at? Pro, go ahead.
Oh, listen, I think that with Lilo and Stitch, Disney could have easily done everything to keep it as similar as possible, minus the one character who's the giant walking shark. That's probably hard to pull off in CGI live action. What Disney did is they made a mistake, but it's not necessarily the mistake that some people would believe. I think that the mistake that Disney made is that they created a situation where you've got a divisive ending, and I think that it pulls some of the magic away. Now, I agree with Tom in that after I've spent some time thinking about it, I don't think that it, I initially, after watching the film, thought that the Nani, the sister character, that she was just a terrible person in this movie, and they'd really destroyed the character overall. After having thought about it more, I'm not sure they went so far. But the problem for Disney is that there was a very simple philosophy behind the original movie, and that is a family represents a group of people who they've got your back no matter what, forever and ever. Now, that's a simple concept that I think we can all agree on. And it's a really good concept as well. And there's a lot of hope and positivity in that. And it might be just part of the integral position of the West. Okay, so, and not going quite to the divine level, but at least family is darn near important and close to the divine. Okay, so all of that packed in a little kid's cartoon. This one, where they made the mistake is that they opened the door to this debate. Mm-hmm. And the debate is, did the character hand off custody of the little kid and blow up the idea of ohana, which is the family word for, or this is the Hawaiian word for family.
Right.
Now, I have my position. Tom has a position. You will have a position when you see the film. Ron will have a position when he gets the plushie and reads the definition on the back of the plushie before he gives it away to somebody.
And I want to kill all of you.
I am very scared of you now.
In Minecraft.
So people are going to have their positions on this. The fact that we're debating it means Disney messed up on the messaging. That's where they messed up, because it's not.
That's the problem. That's all I want to get across.
It's not simple enough.
And I just want to say this.
No.
I don't necessarily agree with the film. Like I said, it is a lesser film than the original. And my point is this, is that the director and writer flat out said the reason they did it, and I don't think it was for woke reasons, and I don't think they were trying to make Nani a girl boss. Because I said, how do you actually make her both immature and irresponsible at the same time a girl boss? It doesn't work that way, because people are kind of misrepresenting the way things go down in the film. I explained it earlier. It's a pretty simple kind of way the things break down. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I agree with you that they could have handled it differently. But they tried to give Nani a bit of character that she didn't really have in the original film, for better or worse. It's going to work for some people. It's not going to work for others. That's just kind of the way it is.
My baseline problem, then we're going to get to some super chats. We'll talk about the doomsday delay and a couple other small items here. But, my issue with this is simple, is that you have in my opinion, a guaranteed money machine, right? Little Mermaid should have been a guaranteed money machine. Snow White should have been a guaranteed money machine. But for the fact that Disney is a completely broken company from a creative standpoint. I mean, completely broken. It's depressing to see what's happened to them and how far down they have fallen and have been broken in the last, even just 10 years. Lilo and Stitch is one of these things where, again, I'm excited about this because I love this movie. I was a huge fan of it. I'm a huge fan of, if Disney came out tomorrow and told me that they were going to remake WALL-E, I would probably cry and be very depressed because it's one of my favorite movies they've ever done. And I absolutely wouldn't trust them to do it because they suck at it. There's no creative talent at Disney anymore. So the question becomes, again, why change anything in this? If you don't have talent, if you don't have anybody working at your company capable of doing it, then what you need to do is to give them the easiest, most simple job possible, especially to get the audience re-engaged when you have had so many massive commercial failures as the Walt Disney Company has had, okay? Even when you do a good job, according to the audience that has watched it or seen it, like Andor, a pitifully teeny tiny little audience for a show like that cost $400 million for season 2. Okay? That has less than a quarter or roughly a quarter of the audience of a maybe $100 million brand new, nobody knew what the hell it was until it premiered, show on Paramount Plus right now. This is the kind of stupidity that Disney continuously engages in, is hyper expensive commercial failures. With Lilo and Stitch, just give the audience what you can. Don't have your lackeys, don't have your remedial employees at the company try to resculpt this, to try to remake it. All you have to do, you guys are short bus kids with the helmets on in a padded room. All you have to do is take the original and don't write another word, don't add another line to it, don't change anything, just remake it as it is. They can't even do that. They can't, and they wind up screwing stuff up. Now, this is going to be an exception to the rule with Lilo and Stitch because, it's going to do well. It's going to make a lot of money. I've never doubted that. I've said this since the trailer came out. It's going to be fine. But it's still going to have to get critiqued from a critical standpoint versus a commercial standpoint for that reason. I get they made changes, whatever, but it is what it is. East Texas Maggie for $2. That exact scene is in the movie. Ohana is in it. And again, I'm not disagreeing. I know Ohana, the theme, is in it. I'm talking specifically about the alleged alteration of the character of Nani into what Ohana actually means, right? And we heard from Tom tonight. I wished that Stephanie had been able to make it, my nerdy home, or that Madam Savvy. Madam Savvy had an invitation. We love Madam Savvy. Madam Savvy's definitely one of my most beloved little sisters here on YouTube. I love Savvy to death. But they had a very different opinion. As women, they had a very different opinion than what Tom saw in the movie. And again, I'm not trying to say that Savvy and Stephanie were right and Tom's wrong or vice versa. But these are the impressions that are out there. My issue, East Texas Maggie, is that when I was asked earlier poignantly on George's show, is this going to have a material impact on the long-term box office success of this film? I was a vociferous and adamant and unequivocal no. No, it's not going to, because people have already made decisions. The normies, the families, the moms, the dads, the kids have already made decisions. They want to go see this movie. And as long as Stitch is still Stitch, then this movie is going to be $1 billion movie, bar none. The other things like the character changes in Nani, her going off to college versus staying home, are probably going to largely be kind of glanced over. And I don't say that flippantly or to dismiss the fact that the Disney feminist crowd has once again at the Stories Matter group, regardless of whether their web page is there or not, made a change. They did. And for the same reasons they made changes in Snow White and Little Mermaid, as we discussed earlier. But is it going to have a commercial impact on this film as it stands now? My analysis says no. And this will be a success for Disney. Now, the question that everybody has to ask themselves out there, and this is one of the questions posited earlier on George the Giant Slayer show, was that is the success of Lilo and Stitch, given some of these changes, whether Tom is right about them or whether Savvy and Stephanie are right about them, I'm not passing judgment here. But is Disney going to get the wrong message from this that they can, if it's true, continue down the path of woke, feminist, intersectional feminist bullshit that has pissed off so much of their audience? It's possible. It's possible they could take that lesson from this. I hope they don't. One of the things that's going on right now that we talked about briefly earlier is with release this summer, right? Pixar, another completely reworked movie like Inside Out 2 last year, where Pete Docter had to literally step in and oversee and micromanage a rework of Inside Out 2 to save his ass from getting basically canned or being on the outs. Basically save his job, because Pixar has become such an extreme lefty woke Burbank shithole of woke culture. Maybe there was some element of that with Lilo and Stitch that was reworked. I don't know. I haven't heard anything of it, but I hope Disney doesn't take the wrong message from this. Lilo and Stitch is going to be a big commercial success, but Disney has already had 3 massive failures this year, and I don't think any of that is materially changing. Thunderbolts, $350 million through this weekend. That's a disaster for Thunderbolts. But that's going to be glossed over and glanced over by a lot of the Wall Street access media crowd that, oh, look, everything's fine at Disney because Lilo and Stitch is great. Never mind the fact there's $600 million in the effing hole this year to date because of Snow White, because of Captain Falcon DEI, and because of Thunderbolts being 3 largely crappy movies that nobody cared about. Lilo and Stitch is not going to erase that from reality. It's not going to erase the failures from the balance sheet. None of that is going to change. But they can at least, maybe from a marketing standpoint, pull themselves out of a crapper at least until July 24th, when Fantastic Four, or Floptastic Four, as I think it probably will be at this point, will come out and just be a unmitigated embarrassment. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.